Thinking back when I was a kid, back in the 1960s, trick-or-treating. Halloween time, putting on your mask, your costume, putting a sheet over your head, poking holes in it, pretend you're a ghost. That was all about getting candy. It was all about fooling people, even though we didn't fool anybody. They didn't know who we were because we were hidden behind our masks, but they didn't really care. But it was all about getting candy. We wanted something from them, and the way that would work is you beat on their door, ring their doorbell, they come to the door, you say trick or treat, they know you're coming, so they give you candy, and at the end of the night, we would have bags full of candy that would last sometimes for months. I mean, seriously, a year's supply of candy, all in one night. Things were different back in the 1960s. I mean, the streets were just full of kids. All the kids participated, relatively safe, and all the neighbors participated. So it was another way to kind of rather to know the neighbors. They just didn't get to know you because they didn't know who you were. But yeah, kids just everywhere on the street. Totally different from where it is today, where safety is much higher concern. And that's because people pulled some pranks over the years and got to be more careful than we used to. Well, that's kind of the same thing with a covert narcissist. Is they don't wear literal physical masks. They don't wear costumes, literal costumes. Now some of them may dress the part, but by and large they don't wear costumes. What are they masking? What are they hiding then? Well, they're hiding their true character. They're hiding their true personality. Now, the reputation is something different. Character is who you truly are. Reputation is who people believe you are to be. So these people are projecting, covert narcissists are projecting a false personality, a false reputation. That is their mask. Their character is what is masked. So there's a huge difference between the mask, which is the reputation, and the real person, which is the character, which is what they're trying to hide. And believe me, some of these people are real characters. And we tend to believe the narcissist mask for some odd reason. I mean, you see the kids on the street. I'm pretty sure that's not a ghost. I'm pretty sure that's not a pirate. I'm pretty sure that's not a princess. I'm pretty sure that's a kid wearing a costume. Well, it's not that obvious, obviously, with a covert narcissist. Otherwise, they'd be called out the first time that they try to scam somebody. They try to take advantage of somebody. So these are really actors. They're really good at what they do. I recall one Halloween, this is long, probably the 1980s as a full-grown adult. And I saw a guy that I knew who he was because I recognized his voice, but this is an adult guy. And he was at some kind of a gathering, and I don't know what, it was a chance encounter, but he had on this mask that looked very real. And man, it was kind of spooky, even though I knew, obviously, this is Halloween, this guy's wearing a mask. But it was so real that I kind of believed that character. And I thought to myself how dumb that is to believe he was wearing like this mask that covers your entire head, and it was like an old man, a mean old man. And for some reason, something inside my inner psyche picked up on that, and I couldn't help but to identify this guy as a creepy old man, even though I knew who he was. He's a middle-aged guy, had a good job, had a home life, wife, couple kids. I knew him. But still, there was something about that mask that was convincing, or at least it touched my inner psyche, even though I knew it was made out of rubber, whatever they make masks out of. Now, that tells me something about human psychology. It tells me that we are adapted biologically, naturally, we are adapted to believe what we see. I guess that's a defense mechanism because there's something within us that wants to tell us this is a bad person. Okay, but does it work the other way if they're wearing a mask that is not a creepy old man? What if he's wearing a mask that a charming, affable, charismatic, middle-aged man? More so than the guy already was. Actually, he was a pretty good guy, so he wouldn't have to wear that mask. But okay, say there was a creepy old man, and he was wearing the nice guy mask. Well, apparently that same inner thing, that psyche inside of us, will be touched, and we will believe Even though we know better, even though we know, yeah, it's made out of rubber, we'll still, something inside of us will accept that guy more so than if he wasn't wearing a mask at all. So the point that I'm getting to when I say this is one of the reasons that covert narcissists are so successful at convincing us is we seem to be pre-programmed to believe what we see. And if we don't know that it's a mask, and if we don't know what the real person is really like, then that is what we're going to believe. That's a long shot from the kid with a sheet over his head running up and down the street on Halloween pretending to be a ghost. Huge difference between that and the little kid who thinks he's a pirate or pretending to be a pirate. So the point of all that is, yeah, we are hardwired to believe the narcissist, and that makes the narcissist all that more dangerous. And that explains why it is that, as I've said before, that about, I'm guessing that about 80% of the people that narcissist approaches during the smear campaign, about 80% of them believe his lies, believe his side of the story, because he is a believable person. He wears a mask of charisma, a mask of likability, affability. So people tend to believe the mask. Now, the problem with most of us is we like to be honest. We like to be straightforward. We don't like to wear a mask. I mean, we do some just out of courtesy, but we don't like to mask. We like to be genuine. And we're not accustomed to fooling people, to entrapping people. So we're not very good at it. We're not pros. If at the very best we're kind of amateurs, and most of us not even that. So what happens? People tend to believe the narcissist over us because they are hardwired to believe, and the narcissist is hardwired to fool people. It's just a perfect match, and it's not until that mask comes off that they finally get it. Okay, now I see who this guy really is. And something else you got to keep in mind about the mask that narcissists wear. And again, the mask is a false reputation. It is hiding true character. So people think they know this guy's character, but they don't. They just know his reputation, one that he's built for himself, developed for himself. But they're very good at shape shifting. By that, I mean that they can change their costume without taking it off. They can just, I don't know how they do it, but they just do it because it's not a real costume. It's psychological. But they can change that costume without taking it off, depending on the person to whom they are speaking. So, for example, let's say the narcissist is trying to convince a highly religious person that you are a bad guy. This is in the smear campaign. Well, what does he do? Well, he becomes highly religious. The narcissist, he knows the lingo, he knows the language. They have a nice spiritual, quote, spiritual, unquote, conversation, and the religious guy's convinced. Or it could be someone who has just a high moral standard, may not be religious, and most people do, and all the narcissist has to do is pretend that he's one of them. So narcissists tend to fit in very, very well because, the proverbial wolf in sheep's clothing, that's what these people are, what covert narcissist people are. And whatever flock they happen to be in, they fit right in, no problem whatsoever. But there's a problem with a narcissist, and that is that his mask is constantly slipping. It's almost like a literal mask. You can't keep that thing on forever. I mean, eventually the true narcissist is going to come out. The analogy that I use so often is a dog that you have taught to dance. The dog can't dance forever. I mean, eventually the real dog's going to come out. He's going to get back down on all fours, where before he was dancing on his hind legs. Nice little trick, but eventually he's going to come back down, and he's going to be the real him. Same thing is true as a narcissist, and the narcissist is very careful to make sure that his mask doesn't slip at an inopportune time. That's kind of tough, particularly when he has screwed you, he has scammed you, he has taken advantage of you, and you know for absolute 100% certainty, this guy has no character. He's wearing a mask, he's a scamster, he's a fraudster, he's taking advantage of people, and you know it. And you have this inclination to try to inform other people. Well, the narcissist is well aware of that, and he is prepared for that long before you spill the beans, because he has decided to discard you long before the discard. And at the very onset, he begins that smear campaign. What is he doing? And he doesn't just do this to you, he does it to everybody, but he tries to isolate you and separate you from others. People that you know, people you're close to, maybe some people that you don't even know. But he wants other people to see you. Okay, he's putting a mask on you. Instead of being a person of high character, you are going to be the bad guy. So you look like opposites. The narcissist is the bad guy wearing the mask, and you are the good guy wearing the bad guy mask. That's the way he presents you to the world. Now remember, we said at the onset that it seems like we are hardwired to believe those masks, and people are. The only people that I know that don't believe the mask are the ones who have a point of reference. That is to say, the ones who have seen the narcissist without his mask in the past. They are the ones who figure it out very early because, yeah, that's a mask. I know what this guy really is. They've seen it. But outside of that, virtually everybody believes the smear campaign. It's amazing. You know, in my life, my experiences, I call it my life's laboratory. You know, pushing 70. I've gone through this a few times. Hopefully you can learn from my experiences. But what I have noticed is, I've said this in other videos, but about 80% of the people who are approached by the narcissist during the smear campaign actually believe his lie. And it's frustrating, because here are people that you have known for decades, sometimes years at least, and they believe the narcissist, and now all of a sudden, your dear beloved friends think you're a monster. And you didn't put the mask on. The narcissist put that mask on you. So that tells us something else. That tells us that in a sense, that the mask is being worn in the minds of other individuals. Again, obviously there is no mask. So it's really, masking is really a mind game that is played out on the stage of individuals, of people. So the only way you are going to take the mask off the narcissist is to change the point of reference of those other people. And that is near impossible to do, because there are 8 billion of them. And the narcissist just goes on his merry way. Once he burns up somebody, he goes to someone else. Once he uses up someone, he goes on to someone else. Like a tissue paper, thrown away, forgotten. Gets a new tissue paper. See those two rectangles on the screen? Let's keep talking about this. All you got to do is click on one of those two rectangles, and the conversation will continue to go on. If not, thanks for stopping by, and see you all next time.